This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. I tried it, and in the last 5 hours, I was the first man on Mars, walked on water, built the world's first flying car, and invented the perpetual motion machine. So, you had no idea he was going to do that? Shocking, yeah. How do you think I felt? As if I didn't have enough problems. Wait, you didn't believe him, did you? Good. Thanks. That means a lot that you guys got my back like that. Thank you. I mean, Fourth Dimension Fool Killers practically turned the whole IWC against me. I need someone in my camp. Good question. I don't know how he feels about this. In fact, to tell you the truth, I don't even know where Fourth Dimension Fool Killer is right now. After he watched that video last week, he just disappeared. I haven't seen him since. Something unsettling about that. And plus, there's been a lot of weird stuff going on around here since he's been gone. I don't know, like weird noises, things moving around in the dark. Starting to freak me out a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, alright, listen, I gotta shoot this video, so I'm gonna have to... Yeah, we'll Skype later or something. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll talk to you then. Alright, see ya. Bye. What's up? What's up? Well, still can't do it. Okay, Impact. With this being the last leg of the 2013 UK tour, you'd think TNA would want to pull out all the stops this week to really cap this thing off with a bang. And did they? Not really. We start with Hogan announcing that rather than one of the men from the 4 matches he booked last week, the man that gets Jeff Hardy at Lockdown is none other than Bully Ray. Bully Ray comes out in uber babyface mode, playing the humble, gracious son-in-law, calls attention to his quad injury, makes sure to cover all his bases, and then sets up a 6-man tag main event with the Aces and Eights versus him, Sting, and you, Hulk Hogan.
It's not the 90s anymore and nobody wants to see you in spandex.
This segment did everything it needed to do. It set up the main events of this show and Lockdown, but I've heard some complaints, mainly that this makes those 4 matches last week completely pointless. And believe it or not, I'm going to side with the writers on this one. Yeah, we saw last week how Brooke was trying to convince her dad to give Bully the shot instead of one of these other guys, and Hogan saying that, no, I have to stay impartial, and then Bully making the save for him at the end, leaving Hogan not so impartial anymore. So what they're trying to convey here is that Bully Ray is ingratiating himself to Hogan, getting really tight with Hogan to the point where Hogan is now compromising himself, playing the nepotism card, and actually being kind of unfair to those other 8 guys just to help his injured son-in-law get ahead, which in turn will make Bully's potential upcoming heel turn cut Hogan that much deeper. Now, was there a better way to do this? Probably. I don't disagree that it kind of invalidated those matches last week, but I see what they were going for here, so I'm not going to crap on it. Though I will say this. One really important thing it was missing was reactions from those other 8 guys. We should have at least heard from James Storm and Magnus, who won their matches last week and had the best argument for being chosen for that spot. Those 2 in particular got screwed here, and we should have gotten promos from them saying they were pissed off, that Hogan wasn't impartial anymore, that he was being unfair, that he was letting nepotism cloud his judgment. Because he is. So you show how Hogan's integrity is being called into question by the boys in the locker room. Then when Bully turns heel, it's Hogan getting stabbed in the back by the guy he stuck his neck out for. Like I said, the storyline really could have been crafted better, but I do at least see the point to all this, and the basic idea is not a bad one. The Wet Dream Team, Bad Influence, and Joseph Park all in the same segment? Wow. If that had been just the 5 of them cutting promos on each other, that might have been the greatest segment in Impact history. The interaction between the heel teams and them not getting along kind of superseded everything that happened in the match, so it might not have been the most exciting 8-man tag you've ever seen, but goddamn this was entertaining. I think the best part was Joseph Park's epic double elbow spot. Great stuff. And it's so funny how the UK fans just keep on crapping all over Chavo and Hernandez. They make their entrance, the crowd boos. They play to the fans, the crowd boos. Chavo does the frog splash, the crowd boos.
Nobody cares about you guys.
So by the end of the match, Chavo realized that the only way he was going to get any face pops here was by glomming them from Joseph Park, who was over as hell. But enough about Los Stereotypicos. This match was really about the heels. They couldn't coexist, so the Wet Dream Team take off eventually, and the crowd booed when they left because they're so awesome. And oh my god, if they're actually setting up a feud between the Wet Dream Team and Bad Influence...
Yes! 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 Yes!
I think it just came a little. TNA writers, you have to do this feud. You have to. The potential promos we could get. Holy shit, the promos alone would make that feud of the year. This feud must happen. Get Los Stereotypicos off the screen. No one likes them. And feud Bad Influence with the Wet Dream Team. I don't care if they're all heels. It doesn't even matter. That feud needs to happen, and it needs to happen right now. Do it.
This is gonna make you cream.
In-ring debut of Rockstar Spud, and he must have pissed off somebody backstage because he drew the short straw and got matched up with Robbie E. It was hard to form an opinion of Spud based on this. For one thing, he needs to be a heel. This bizarre notion of him being a babyface is no. Just no. Stop it. He's a heel. End of story. And second, the match was pretty short, and Robbie was booked to control most of it, which meant it didn't get out of first gear because Robbie's matches never get out of first gear. Spud's hope spots were good. They were really the only interesting stuff done in this, but Robbie E is not a guy you want to carry the action of a match, and everyone knows it. We all know what this loser delivers. He does the same lazy, boring crap every single time. He does not work hard, and his matches are painfully mediocre. Spud wins, thank God.
You're welcome.
As a quick enhancement match for Spud, this was acceptable, I suppose, but it wasn't really about showcasing him like it should have been. And it wasn't memorable either, because he was stuck with a talentless, lazy jackass for an opponent. And post-match, the Robbies break up, which I'm ambivalent about. But they never did anything interesting together. Terry is finally doing something that's sort of entertaining, and this frees up Robbie to fully become the undercard comic relief jobber that he always should have been, so... good? But TNA writers, just in case you were wondering about this, There is no reason on earth to do Robbie E versus Rob Terry at Lockdown. I repeat, no reason on earth. Put that thought out of your minds right now. If you absolutely have to, do it on the pre-show. You even think about making people pay money for that match, and you and me are going to have a problem.
Destination? Horror.
Then we had a match that was set up last week, the 4-woman elimination match for the Knockouts title with Tara, Gail Kim, Tessmacher, and Velvet Sky.
I got a little something I need to get off my chest right now.
With those first 3 women in there, you'd think this would be really good. And there were parts that were good, certain spots that were nice, and the women worked hard, but the match in general I didn't care for. This would have benefited from being a 4 corners match with only 2 women tagged in at one time. The elimination gimmick was fine, there was nothing wrong with that, but when you had all 4 of them in the ring at once, it got kind of messy and jumbled. It didn't really have a flow to it, it lost the crowd for a while, and it just became too disjointed for me. I was okay with Tara losing. Her title reign really hadn't gone anywhere, so whatever, that's not a big deal. But then Velvet Sky wins, and she's the new Knockouts champion. And now you're probably expecting me to rant and rave and scream and bitch and play the clip of me running to the bathroom to be violently ill. Well, I'm not going to do that. Am I happy about Velvet winning the title? Of course not. It's bullshit. But my main issue with this, aside from all the crappy knockout matches we're going to be in for now, has always been that Velvet was going to ruin the credibility of the championship. Well, that's not an issue anymore. Why? Because it already happened. I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again. When every single person in your division is a multi-time champion, that means the championship is worthless. Velvet can't kill the credibility of the title now because it doesn't have any. It's not something prestigious anymore. It's not something that only the best in the division are good enough to win. Everybody gets a turn with it now. Velvet being the Knockouts champion doesn't mean that she's the best in the division. It just means that it's her turn in line. That's it. That title means nothing. And sure, I don't like this, but it's not going to keep me up at night or anything because any credibility or prestige that Velvet Sky could have destroyed by winning the title was long gone before she got there. It's worth noting that this happened in large part because Gail was fighting with Taryn Terrell, almost to the point where you could argue that Taryn wasn't totally impartial. That's still going on, so I suspect Taryn will be transitioning into a wrestling role fairly soon now. If so, Gail Kim is the right person to feud her with, since Gail can get a good performance out of just about anyone. But I really hope that Taryn has been training hard these last few months, because her recent stint in OVW didn't exactly inspire a lot of confidence on my part, I'll just say that. Samoa Joe has a match with Garrett Bischoff. 30-second squash match, right? You'd think so, but apparently not. Apparently someone backstage, not naming any names, wanted this no-talent scrub to look stronger than that. So unfortunately, the first minute or 2 of this match made me sick.
Oh my God, he's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
Garrett's on the offense for the first bit of this match. The crowd is absolutely dead for everything he's doing. They don't give a rat's ass about Garrett, they're not buying into him whatsoever, and it's not hard to see why. Samoa Joe selling for Garrett Bischoff is so ridiculous you can't even suspend your disbelief enough to take it seriously. It just looks fake. You know Joe should just annihilate this loser. That's what the fans were all expecting. But because of certain reasons, politics as Joseph Park would say, this garbage is something we're just going to have to put up with. Ha-ha! The audience doesn't wake from their comas until Joe goes on the offense. He's about to win the match, thankfully, but Wes Briscoe shows up, Angle runs the heels off, and now we're getting Angle Briscoe at Lockdown. All due respect to Briscoe, but do you think he's ready for that? Do you really? I guess it makes sense from a storyline perspective, but this seems awfully premature in my opinion. I suppose Wes might prove me wrong and deliver the performance of a lifetime, but everything we've seen from him so far tells me that him and Garrett Bischoff belong in OVW, not on pay-per-view in a steel cage with Kurt Angle. It's the same principle as Joe versus Garrett. How on earth are we supposed to buy Briscoe as a viable threat to anyone right now, much less Kurt Angle? It's just silly.
This whole show is ridiculous!
Kenny King versus Bob Van Dam for the X Division title. This match was kind of blah, to be honest. Kenny King can have great matches. Van Dam can have good matches when he's motivated, but for some reason, these two don't seem to match up very well together. Maybe it's a chemistry thing. I don't know, but something just felt off about this. Van Dam wins predictably. Why? He's gone through every potential opponent in the X Division now. The last thing left is for him to drop the belt, and Kenny King is the only compelling option. Hopefully they're just waiting so he can lose it in the escape match at Lockdown, if they're even going to have one this year. But Kenny King needs to win that title. Van Dam still having it just feels pointless now. He needs to lose it, and he needs to lose it soon. Quick question. Why are the Aces and Eights allowed in this building? They earned the right to have free access to the Impact Zone at Bound for Glory, but they're not in the Impact Zone right now. So why is the company just allowing them into these UK arenas when they're well within their power to simply lock the doors and keep these jokers out? Anyone? Anyone got an answer to this? Plot hole! The main event became a handicap match when the Aces and Eights took out Hogan backstage. So that tease of him wrestling for the first time in forever was for nothing. Bait and switch, brother. I bet those UK fans were pissed off. And it says a lot when the addition of Hogan probably would have made the match more interesting because this was lousy. This match sucked. Boring as shit. They have to get the Aces and Eights out of the main events because matches involving them never turn out well. The only exception has been Angle Anderson, but that's because it was Angle Anderson. Devon is boring, Doc sucks, Anderson can be good when he wants to be, but he's hampered by this gimmick and the two guys he's partnered with who just do not belong in the main events.
You guys suck.
The heels use Hogan and Brooke as a distraction. Bully abandoned Sting to tend to his father-in-law. Hint. So, holy shit, the Aces and Eights actually won a match. So I guess even a blind hog finds a truffle once in a while. But does this do anything for them? Not really. Damage control is a waste of time now. The ship on making the Aces and Eights a credible threat has sailed. And even if it hadn't, their lineup is still a complete joke. Christ, the Deuces and Fours could kick their asses at this point. Well, no, the Deuces and Fours couldn't do it because, you know, but somebody else could. What the hell is that? And one more thing about this match. The whole night, the announcers are talking about Bully Ray's quad injury. They established it in a pre-tape last week. Everyone knows he's hurt. But the Aces and Eights never bothered to attack the quad in this match, not even once. And no one thinks that's kind of weird? The announcers don't even call attention to it? You see, stuff like this is why people see the heel turn coming. The writers are doing everything they can think of to get people to rally behind Bully Ray, defying the Aces and Eights, getting tight with Sting and Hogan, and that stuff would be suspicious enough on its own, but now on top of all that, he's facing the babyface Jeff Hardy at Lockdown. I really, really hope that this is all just misdirection and the writers have got something else in store for us, because if this is all building up to a Bully Ray heel turn at Lockdown and him being in the Aces and Eights, it's going to be the most obvious, most predictable swerve since they were revealed to be Hogan and Bischoff. Now, if this has all been some kind of elaborate ploy to make us think in that direction when something completely different is going to happen instead, then that's great. That's what I'm hoping for. But right now, I kind of doubt it. I think it'll just be a Bully Ray heel turn and that's it. The only thing I'm wondering about is, will Brooke turn heel with him? That's still up in the air, but with everything else, you can see this coming from a mile away, and if it plays out the way it looks like it's going to play out, it's not going to be a surprise to anyone. You know, aside from the 8-man tag and, I guess, Rockstar Spud making Robbie E look like an ass, I really didn't care for this one. I know it was the tail end of the tour and they were probably dead tired, but it felt like Impact was on autopilot this week. The show just felt flat. I'm not excited for Lockdown yet. The card so far looks really lackluster. You got 2 more weeks to salvage this pay-per-view, TNA. You better have something really good up your sleeves.
What the hell is going on?
Who's there? Fourth Dimension Fool Killer? If you're in here, show yourself! This isn't funny, goddammit! That's it! Enough with the mind games, you son of a bitch! Get out here and face me like a... like a man. No way.
Smokey?